Hi, everyone, and welcome. My name is Adam Vicencio, and I'm excited to walk you through today's training session. I appreciate you taking the time to be here, and I hope this session helps you get the most out of the application. Over the next 2 hours, we'll explore ISI analytics in depth, focusing on its core features, with a special emphasis on the Q Analytics dashboard and reporting. I'll show you how to navigate the system, interpret key metrics, and leverage the platform's insights to improve your business outcomes. I want you to leave this session confident in using ISI analytics for your day-to-day work. By the end, you should have a clear understanding of how to access, analyze, and apply the data available to you. Let's begin. Open your browser and navigate to app.isianalytics.com to log in. Here, you will use the credentials provided to you by your organization to log in, which would be your email. If you have not been provided credentials, please contact your main system administrator for access. Once you've entered your email, press the Next button. You'll then be prompted to enter your password. If you're utilizing single sign-on, please follow your standard single sign-on procedures. Once you've logged in, you'll land at the dashboard page. Before I dive into the different modules, I'd like to take some time to discuss some of the menu options located in the upper right-hand side of the page. The crescent moon will enable dark mode. The question mark will bring you to our online knowledge base. The bell will give you any notifications, which are typically system status and report status notifications. The person will allow you to log out. And finally, there is a Go to Infratel Classic icon, which will navigate you back to our Classic report engine. Next item is our Resource Center icon, which is located in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. In here, you can find links to different support items. The first item is another link to our knowledge base, so let's go there now. The site is full of articles to help you find information on our product. This includes how-to articles as well as dashboard and reporting guides. The next link is our release notes. This will bring you to our repository of current and past release notes. Check back here after a release to see information on any updates and enhancements to the product. The next link is a feedback section where you can leave us notes on items you would like to provide feedback on. The categories are feature requests, training feedback, general feedback, or bug reports. Next up is the system status link. This will redirect you to our site that hosts information about the current status of our product. We will also post any upcoming releases and their scheduled dates. You or your team can also subscribe to these notifications to be kept up to date with any planned updates. And then lastly, if you scroll down to the Resource Center, you'll find our contact support link, which will bring you to our site for information to put in support tickets. You can either give us a call or fill out the web form and a tech will reach out to you via email. Let's now move over to the modules. Select the hamburger icon in the upper left-hand corner to expand out the modules. In today's training, we will cover the following. The dashboard module, which will include My Dashboard, a developing tool for gaining valuable insight into call volume and call handling analysis. Queue dashboards, our newest tool designed to help you monitor and analyze queue performance. Report modules include report templates. This is where you'll design your call reports. Schedule templates, where you can set up the delivery of daily, weekly, and monthly reports. And report history, where you can review your previously run reports, including any scheduled reports. The administration module, which includes connectors. In this module, administrators will learn how to set up and configure connections to your phone system. This includes managing directory imports, adjusting queue settings, and controlling queue access for seamless integration. And lastly, users. This module will help you set up and maintain logins for your system. Our first item to cover is the dashboard module. You can navigate to it from the upper left-hand side. Here, you can see that we have 5 widgets that showcase your data in a few ways. Activity by call type widget will display a breakdown of call volume over a period of time based on the specific call type. Activity by call direction widget will display a breakdown of call volume over a period of time based on the direction of calls. Call handling widget shows how the calls are handled by hour for a given day. Top organizations by count widget will rank your top directory departments based on call volume. And lastly, long duration call widget will display your longest call durations within a given amount of time. You can add a widget at any time by selecting the plus symbol in the upper right hand corner. You can add as many widgets to your dashboard as needed. Let's continue by showcasing a few UI options. You can move the widgets around by clicking, dragging, and dropping. You can expand the widgets out by using the bottom right-hand corner to expand. The icons in the upper right-hand corner of the widgets are the refresh, which allow you to refresh the data, the quick filter, quick date, and quick time filter, which allows you to make quick temporary changes to the dataset. And finally, the edit widget feature, which allows you to set the main filters and date ranges for each widget. Let's go ahead and edit this widget of activity by call direction. We can select the 3 dots and you will see 4 options. Display options, configure date and time, configure filters, and delete widget. We're going to dive into display options first. Here, you can see we can rename the widget. So if you make a specific view of data, it's nice to be able to label it to reflect those changes. Graphing options. Here, you have a whole set of graphing options to change between like stacked bar, line graph, or pie charts. And time zone. Here, you can change the time zone that you're seeing the data in. Moving on to the next options, we'll go into the configure date and time. You can utilize 3 different kinds of time filters. Hours, with a max of 1,512 hours. Days, with a max of 63 days. And current month. You can select which days of the week you'd like to include or exclude, and you can select the start and end time for each day in the widgets. These settings are to help you if you have specific time frames each day that you want to see, instead of the full day. Then you have the group by feature, which allows you to set how you want the data to be seen, and your options are days, weeks, or months. Next up is the configure filters feature. These options allow you to build a query based on the data you wish to see. Your options are data source, extension location, call direction, call disposition, and directory filter. Let's go over data source. Here, you will see an operator to include, not include, like, and not like. Once you have the operator selected, you can then select the data sources you wish to include in the data. Clicking on the Add More filters, you can then choose another. Let's talk about extension location. This will also have the operators function. Depending on your system setup, you may or may not have more options than just the default extension location. Extension locations is a module that resides in the classic application that allows you to set a set of extensions and give them labels to help you identify them either to a location or an organization. This can also be used to apply specific costing. Look for a potential future video that will cover extension location. Moving on to the next filter is call direction. Here, you just have a drop-down to select the specific call direction. Your options are the following: inbound, outbound, internal, and trunk to trunk. The next one, similar to call direction, is call disposition. Here, your options are inbound answered, inbound abandoned, outbound, and internal. The last filter you have is directory filter. Without this filter, your results will return results of the entire directory structure. The directory is another module you can find in the Classic product. This directory is a list of people, extensions, devices, auth codes that we can import from a number of systems. This typically also will include the directory hierarchy, like cost centers, offices, departments, etc. I will also cover directory in a separate session. The default options in directory is to enable the entire organization. If you disable this toggle, it will give you the option to select different parts of your organization to be viewed on the widget you're configuring. You can go as high up as the top level of the org structure, all the way down to the lowest, which might just be the department level. Once you have your selections made, you can push save. Keep in mind that currently every widget on this dashboard has the same 5 filters. The last feature is delete widget. This will remove the widget from the dashboard. Should you wish to create a new one, just select the plus symbol in the top right-hand corner. Now that we've talked about the edit features, let's discuss the quick filter and the quick date time filter. Both of these features will bring up the same filter and date time filters seen in the previous edit feature. However, those differ in that they will allow you to make quick, temporary changes to your widgets without making any permanent changes. You can change a filter, change the time frame, and those changes will modify the results based on your temporary selections you've made. Once you refresh the widget, refresh the page, navigate away and return, or log out and log back in, the widget will revert back to your permanent edits and not reflect the quick changes you made to these widgets. Lastly, I want to showcase that you can drill down into the widgets to see additional metrics. Depending on how you grouping your widgets, say if you're doing it by month, it will drill down to show it weekly, then daily, then hourly. If your widget is just showing daily, it will showcase the information once you drill down to it in an hourly format. To return back, just select the X to return to the previous level until you return back to the start. As all the options shown previously apply to the other 4 widgets, I would just encourage you to add any widget you wish to try and give it a go. There's nothing you can do that will cause any harm to the system. That also being said, all of these widgets are for your account only. No changes to your widgets will affect any other user. If you add, delete, and modify your dashboard, it will only reflect your account and no others. Our first section to explore will be the Administration Connectors module. Here, you can understand how the ISI application platform is connected to your phone system. As you can see, there are 3 tabs: Connectors, Directory Imports, and Cloud Connect Servers. Connectors. This module allows us to set up connections to your phone system directly through the cloud or our Cloud Connect application. Once connected, you can make changes to this configuration and apply access to queues if applicable. Directory imports. This beta module allows us to connect to and import the user directory information of your phone system. This includes organization structure, names, emails, and extension information. Cloud Connect servers. This is used for phone systems that cannot be connected directly via the cloud. Once installed in the customer's environment, we would connect that to that application through this section, bridging our systems to yours. Let's go ahead and review the Connect setup and queue settings. In the Connectors tab, let's push the pencil icon to configure this Microsoft Teams connection. In the Basic Configuration tab, most of these settings should already be configured by our implementation team. However, I'll go over them for some additional clarity. Here, you can see that during setup, we've labeled the connector name as Microsoft Teams. For labeling purposes, you can choose any name that applies to your environment. On the right, the toggle for call reporting and queue analytics are available to enable or disable these features. If you do not have our queue analytics offerings, this toggle would be in the off position and grayed out. The Entra ID directory import toggle provides additional business intelligence, including user information and organizational hierarchy from Entra ID. Connection information. The Entra ID tenant ID is how our product identifies and connects to your Microsoft Teams environment. A system administrator can only modify this setting. And then lastly, enhanced queue analytics. If queue analytics is enabled, creating a service account for enhanced queue analytics is recommended. Enhanced queue analytics provides statuses for a queue when it times out, overflows, or no agents are available. Without the service account enabled, queue handling is limited to answered, abandoned, or unanswered statuses. You would create a service account in your Microsoft Teams environment and log into that account here to get this additional information. Let's now select the Queues tab. Here, you can see a list of all available queues and the queues licensed to our product. On the right shows you how many queues licenses you have purchased through ISI to configure. Below are how many queues in your Microsoft Teams environment that are available to configure. Based on this example, you have purchased 50 queues to monitor in our product, but only have 3 queues available in your Microsoft Teams environment, and all 3 of those queues have been enabled. On the left, you can decide which queues you want to enable or disable or even delete from our system. Using the checkboxes can allow you to make your changes. If there are queues not showing up but have been configured in your Teams environment, push the Sync Queues icon in the right-hand side to get an updated list. This may take a few moments. Now let's click the pencil icon to edit that particular queue and set its basic information, access, and thresholds. On the left-hand side, you can see the queue's UPN information for the accounts payable queue, as well as the custom display name we have set for this queue. Queue hours allow you to configure the dashboards to display the call metrics within the queue operating hours. If there are 24 hours, leave the default. Otherwise, configure it to whatever time constraint you require. Make sure to configure what time zone this queue falls under as well. Service level is where you can set a threshold of time that calls should be answered by the in-agent. Setting this will allow you to report on performance within the dashboards as well as reports. If left at the default of 0, the results on dashboard and reports will state not applicable. On the right is where you can set queue access. Right now, no one has been granted access to this queue and can only be viewed by the login users who have been granted the module access of queue admin. Before I show you how to add queue access, I would like to take the time to discuss the 3 modular access rights that you can grant a user, which can be completed in the directory of the classic product, which is covered in another video. When configuring users in the ISI Analytics application, you have 3 options to assign a user. Queue admin, the user has access to all queues, configuring options, dashboards, and reports. Queue manager, the user must be added to the queue access user list. The user has access to specific configuration options, dashboards, and reports. An agent. The user must be added to the queue access user list, and the user can only access the dashboards. Keep in mind that granting users the correct role can be completed in the classic directory module. If a user needs access to a specific queue, the following steps are how to add the queue permissions to a user. To grant agent and manager access to a queue, select the blue Add User icon in the upper right-hand corner. From the drop-down list, select the user you want to grant access. Select Back in the box to continue adding additional users. If you make a mistake, select the X to remove from the list. Select Add to confirm your selection. These are now the users who have access to the accounts payable queue. If you want to remove access, simply select the trash can and confirm. Now let's set up the thresholds of the accounts payable queue. Select the Thresholds tab in the top left-hand corner. Thresholds are to allow a visual representation to indicate when a metric has reached a warning or critical state. Here, you can see that some thresholds have already been configured for this queue. The two styles of widgets that thresholds apply are queue metrics and agent. You can add thresholds in the upper right-hand side by selecting Add Threshold. A blank threshold will appear at the bottom of this list. Select the type of widget you want to apply the threshold to. Apply the metric you wish to monitor and the calculation type, operator, and the value for both warning and critical. Once you're happy with your selection, press Save. If you wish to remove a threshold you no longer need, select the trash can. To provide some visual context to what this applies to, here are both the threshold settings and a screenshot of the dashboard widget queues and agent. Take note that the threshold that is set for this queue shows if a queue has missed a call, value of 5 and higher is a warning, and 10 and higher is critical. Notice the yellow and red colors circles surrounding those to represent the colors of the warning. The same applies to queue service level percentage of 80% for warning and 50% for critical. Here is an example of the queue dashboard widget showcasing the coloring scheme. Service level for accounts payable is yellow because it falls under the 80% but isn't under 50%, as well as the missed call value being red because it falls under the 10 or more qualifier for the threshold setting. Keep in mind that these threshold settings are not user specific. These settings are global to your system, and all users' widgets will follow this threshold rules. The next module we'll discuss is the queue dashboards, which can be found in the left-hand sidebar menu with the headset icon. Here you can see I have a default dashboard ready to view. However, for this training demonstration, I would like to demonstrate building a dashboard from scratch and explaining all the available options. But before I begin, I also want to point out that the dashboards and the widgets you will be designing are unique to your login. At this time, dashboard and widgets are unique to the user and not shared or viewable by your other team members. To start with a new dashboard, we will make sure that the menu is expanded through the hamburger icon in the top left-hand corner. An unexpanded menu will not present the plus icon to allow you to create a new dashboard. Once the plus icon is selected, you will be presented with the option to name your new dashboard, as well as the option to copy previous settings from another dashboard, set up a new dashboard, or copy from your default dashboard. For this demonstration, I will type in Adam's dashboard and then select blank. Here you can see that I can select the queues hamburger icon to expand out the queues that are available for this dashboard, which are the 3 that are configured for this environment and that I have access to. In the upper right-hand corner, we have the date range, reload, and edit options. Let's start with date range. We can select for this dashboard the date range in which we want the data to reflect. The default would be to see the current queue period, which is today's data falling into the queue hours period that we configured in the connectors portion earlier in this video. Relative allows you to look up to the last 31 days worth of data or up to the last 24 hours. Specific date range allows you to hand select a date range up to 31 days worth of data. Once you have made your selection, you can select Save. The refresh icon will reload any new information that has processed since the last reload or since you last navigated to the dashboard. The edit icon will allow you to make edits to the widget and layout. Set this as your new default dashboard or delete the dashboard. Before adding widgets, let's configure which queues we want to monitor for this dashboard. First, we'll click the edit icon and then edit dashboard. Here, you can see that it brings up a few new icons. First, let's note that this is where you can rename this dashboard. Second, the filter icon allows you to select which queues you can monitor in this dashboard. I would unselect and select Save if I did not want the support queue to show up in this dashboard. As you can see, the support queue is no longer present on the dashboard. Editing the dashboard in this way does not affect your other dashboards. The filter option is unique to each dashboard view you configure. Now that we've made our filter selections, let's create some widgets. To start with our first widget, let's select the plus symbol and we can add a Q metrics widget. Here, you can see it's created the widget and it has one metric available, which is answered calls. The value of the answered calls still falls under the time period that we constrained on prior. Let's go ahead and edit this widget. Click on the three dots and select Edit Widget. Here you can set how many metrics you can view in a row. The value is 1 through 6. Select the Add Metric icon will allow you to add additional metrics that you want to monitor to this widget. Notice there are three types of values: totals, durations, and lastly, service level. Let's go ahead and add some metrics now. I will select presented calls, missed calls, and talk time. Take note that the calculation is set to count and total. Watch if I were to try and add answered calls in a second time. It presents as a percentage. If I were to try and add in answered once more, it's grayed out as there are no additional metrics for answered calls. I will make this added metrics be service level instead. You can change the calculation if you select the caret icon, as well as change the display name. If you wish to rearrange the metrics, use the Braille cell on the right and the trash can to remove the metric. Let's go ahead and select Save to see our results. You will see that a yellow triangle shows up when you have metrics in the widget that are not being displayed due to the size. Let's grab the bottom right-hand corner to adjust this widget. Now you can see all the metrics that we've configured on this widget. Take note of the colors of missed calls and service level. This is the threshold feature discussed earlier in this video applying to this widget. Currently, we are monitoring the metrics for the accounts payable queue. And if we select the hamburger icon, we can select the sales queue and see those metrics. If you would like to add more metrics to this widget, just use the edit feature. If you no longer need this widget, select the delete widget feature. Once you're happy with this widget, press the save in the upper right-hand side. The Q Metrics widget also has a drill down feature. If you hover over a metric, you will see that some of them change to a selector tool. These represent metrics that you can drill down into to get a detailed level of the calls pertaining to that metric. Let's select Presented Calls. Here, you are seeing a detailed level of all presented calls in the time period that the dashboard is currently monitoring. You can see information like caller number, the queue source name, and queue source type of the call. Was it from an auto attendant or was it a direct call? We have queue start date and time, the queue duration, the talk duration, as well as the queue disposition or handling type. Was the call answered? Missed? If the call was missed, did the caller hang up or did it time out? Call handling. So if the call was picked up, who took the call? And then queue final action and queue final destination. This drill down feature allows you to get a quick view into the metrics that you've selected. Because I selected presented, we are seeing all of the calls that were presented to the queue regardless of handling type. If I were to close this window using the X in the upper right hand side, I could select a separate metric like missed calls and only see these results. One thing to note with this view, information is paginated. If you change the value of how many calls you see in this view, as well as the page you wish to view on the right hand side. Let's add another type of widget, the donut. Here I'm going to add 5 default donut widgets and configure all of them to the different types. You can see that the default is Q source type. Let's go ahead and edit the first widget. Here you can see that you can change the name as well as the metric you are monitoring. The options for metrics are the following: Q source type, Q disposition, Q handling type, Q final action, and calls answered by agent. Let's select the source type and label the widget as such. We can also change this from a donut to a pie chart. Let's select Save. Now you can see the new label as well as the metrics data. Let me quickly go through and create the other 4 widgets. Now that we have all 5 widgets added, I wanted to show that these widgets can be drilled into. Notice Q source type. If I were to drill into auto attendant, we would get the disposition of the calls that this queue handled through the auto attendant. Notice this widget looks similar to the queue disposition widget. If we were to drill further into the source type and selected answer, we would see the handling type. If we selected answered again, we would see the queue final action. Press the return key to go back up a level, or the X to return to the top level. This feature allows you to see the values of calls based on call metrics using the quick drill down feature. The next widget to discuss is time series. For this demonstration, I will place 6 default time series widgets on the dashboard. You can see these defaults are breaking down a value of number of calls per hour on the y-axis by the call hour on the x-axis. Let's go ahead and get into the edit features to select what we can see on those widgets. Let's go ahead and select the 3 dots and select edit. Here we have some configuration options on the type of data we can see. Let's review those. We have queue call counts, queue call times, and top 10 agents. For now, let's keep it on queue call counts, and let's discuss the group by options that we have. We have queue source type, queue disposition, queue handling type, and queue final action. We also have some options to change the graphing style that best suits this widget. Line chart is nice, but I will change this to area chart. Lastly, we have the ability to change how the time is displayed. We can show it in hours, days, or weeks. Let's keep the default and rename this widget to queue source by hour and select Save. Now we have a labeled widget with information on within the dashboard time period, the hours that the calls came in on, and from what source, auto attendant or direct. You can always unselect by clicking on the item in the x-axis to hide that value from this widget. Let me quickly go ahead and build the next 3 widgets with the other options for queue call counts. Now that I've built the 4 widgets, you can see that these widgets break down the calls by queue call type. Keep in mind, you can always go back and reconfigure them to show different settings. For example, you can have them show you the data by day or week instead of hour, or to utilize a different graphing option. Let's move on to the next default widget. For this one, we're going to change it to queue call times. Notice that the graph type only allows for line or area chart and the add metric option appears. Here we can add abandon time, queue time, and talk time. Notice that there are 4 calculation options for all 3 types. This means you can technically add 12 metrics into this widget to see all of those values. But for now, let's keep the total time for all 3. Once added, let's name this widget queue call times by hour, and then select Save. Here, you can see on the y-axis the length of the time versus the time of day on the x-axis. Let's move on to the final time series widget, which is top 10 agents. This widget only has one metric and is unchangeable, and that is answered calls. You may change the graphing style and which group by time you'd like to select, but let's keep it standard, labeling it top 10 agents by hour and selecting Save. Here you can see the number of calls per hour versus the time of day. Keep in mind you can create a multitude of variations of time series widgets from hour versions to days or even weeks, also changing the graphing style along with them. One last setting that I want to discuss is the overriding of the time period seen on these widgets. In each of them, there is a date and time tab that has a selection to override the dashboard time, date and time value. You have all the same options that you would when configuring the dashboard time selections, specific, relative, and queue period. Keep in mind that these settings will stay active until you come in here and turn them off. Let's add and set up the last widget available, which is the agent widget. This widget is going to break down the agents and totals by putting those values in columns and rows based on the metrics we configure within the widget. Let's begin by selecting the Edit button. Here, you have the ability to tell the widget what metric you want to sort by. The default is name, but depending on which metric you add to the widget will give you other options. Let's add in some metrics. Here you can see that answered, presented, unanswered, and talk time are the 4 available options. Presented calls have only one calculation, but answered and unanswered have percentage, and talk time has 4 calculations of total, average, minimum, and maximum. Let's go ahead and add in 2 additional metrics and give the percentage of answered and unanswered calls. Let's use the Braille cell to move them around. Once you're satisfied with your layout, select Save. Here you can see the individual agents, values of presented, answered, and unanswered calls, and their respective percentages that fall within the time period of this dashboard. Notice that the unanswered cell is red because the value is triggered by the threshold value that we demonstrated in a previous section. In today's video, we covered the 4 main widgets available in our application and their importance in enhancing our dashboard's functionality. Let's quickly recap each widget and its value. Queue Metrics widget. This widget provides comprehensive data on total calls, answered calls, missed calls, queue time, talk time, and service level. By using this widget, you can monitor the overall performance of your call queues, identify bottlenecks, and ensure that service levels are being met. This helps in optimizing resource allocation and improving customer satisfaction. Agent widget. This widget provides numeric values for answered, presented, missed, and abandoned calls, along with their averages and talk times for each agent. By using the agent widget, you can evaluate individual agent performance, identify training needs, and recognizing top performers. This helps in managing your team more effectively and ensuring high levels of productivity and customer service. Donut widgets. These widgets display data in a donut or pie chart format, showing queue source type, queue disposition, queue handling type, queue final action, and calls answered by agent. Donut widgets provide a visual representation of key metrics, making it easier to understand the distribution and proportion of different call types and outcomes. This aids in quick decision making and identifying areas for improvement. And then the time series widget. These widgets break down the data into time-based charts showing the volume of calls by hour, days, or weeks against the times taken. Time series widgets allow you to analyze trends over time, helping you to identify peak call times, traffic performance changes, and make data-driven decisions to improve efficiency and service quality. Utilizing all of these widgets in your dashboards provides a comprehensive view of your call center applications, enabling you to make informed decisions, improve efficiency, and enhance overall performance. Now, let's move on to the next module, which is Report Templates, located in the left-hand navigation bar under the Reporting category. Before I begin with a new template, which is this blue icon on the right, let's talk about a few features located on this page. First, My Saved Templates. This tab will show you all of your current saved report templates that you've designed and saved to your account. As you can see, I have a saved report in my account, which I've named Demonstration Report Weekly. Templates shared with me. This is where you'll be able to view, run, and even edit reports that have been shared with you. We will cover how to create shared reports in a later segment. Search templates. You have the ability to search for a report either by title or description. Favorite checkbox. You can select this to view only your favorited reports, which you can mark during the saving or with the star icon below. Select tags. When you save a report, you can mark a report with a tag to help you later filter out your saved reports into different categories. If I apply the Q Analytics tag, my report is hidden as it does not have that tag. You can also checkbox a selected report and schedule it. However, I will discuss scheduling reports in a later section. On the right, you can run the report, edit the report to change the design, favorite, or more options. The more options allows you to schedule the report, share the report to another user, copy, rename, or delete the report. Let's go ahead and build a report from the standard templates that are available to you. Select the blue icon labeled New Templates in the upper right-hand corner. The list of reports seen here may differ from yours depending on your phone system and licensing. The Call Record Search report template allows you to report on inbound, outbound, and internal calls from your phone system. Using Call Record Search is an easy way to look up any call within your system. However, the queue-specific reports will have unique queue-related fields that separate themselves from this standard report and will provide a richer experience. We will begin with configuring a call record search report. Select the report from the list of available templates. Here, you can see we have 3 tabs to configure the report: Fields, Filters, and General. Fields allow you to design the report to your specifications by adding and removing fields into the columns to customize what data you want displayed on your report. Filters allows you to build a query to bring back the specific data you're seeking to see. And General allows you to set date and time settings as well as to define which direction of internal calls presented in the report. Let's begin with fields. First, we have the category of columns. Notice on the left that we have a breakdown of categories of the available fields. This will help you to determine what field to use. Also, keep in mind that we have an article in the knowledge base called Call Record Search, and this article lists out all the available fields with a general description on what that field provides. Another thing to note would be that not all fields may be utilized for your phone system. In this scenario, the data that's being displayed is a CUCM phone system. There is a section that is labeled Cisco specific fields and quality of service. And these fields would only populate data for a Cisco phone system. Other systems like Avaya and Microsoft Teams will not display data in these fields as that information is not presented in the data received. Fields can easily be added to your report by dragging from the left onto your report. Or you can just select the checkbox and click Add Columns, which will place your field at the very last column. To remove a field, you can simply click the X in the upper right-hand side of the field to remove. To group specific data together, you will need to utilize the Group By feature in the upper left-hand corner. Selecting Group By will only display fields that you can group by. The same add and remove features exist as before. Keep in mind that when you group more than one field, it creates subgroups. The first field added is the top level group. This means that the data will be initially grouped by this field. After the top level grouping, the data within each group is further broken down by the second group by field. This creates a nested structure where the first field defines the main categories and the second field refines these categories into subgroups. For today, the sake of today's training, I'm going to group by extension. And in the columns, I would like to add ring time, device, as well as disconnect initiator. Keep in mind that not all systems will have ring time device or disconnect initiator, as these are Cisco specific fields. Lastly, let's talk about attributes. Selecting the pencil icon will allow you to change the header name of the columns, as well as provide sorting options and alignment of the data within that specific column. Any fields that have non-standard changes to them from the defaults will show up with a black dot in the upper right corner, right-hand side of the field. Let's move on to filters. In this section, filters are basically used to build a query to return back specific data. If you would run a report without filters, you would just return all data within a specified time frame. Filters allow you to narrow down the information you're trying to see. Filters are currently built on an AND statement, meaning if you apply a filter and then add a second filter, you're stating statement 1 and statement 2 must apply to bring the data back. You can see on the left-hand side we have categories, like in the previous fields section. The categories should allow you to identify usable filters that apply to the data you're trying to return. When it comes to filters, there are 4 types: text filters, numeric filters, lookup filters, and directory filters. The first example will be a text filter, and I will use extension. You can see we have an operator as well as a place to type in our value. I will enter in the value of 1149. Even though this extension is a number, extensions aren't always numbers, and that's why this field is a text filter. You will also notice that you do have to push enter to lock in that extension. Clicking the X next to the entry will allow you to remove it. Now, let's talk a little bit about operators for text filters. As you can see in this list, there is equals, which allows you to their filter results to include only those that exactly match the specified text. Does not equal allows you to filter results that exclude those that do not exactly match the specified text. Like filter results that allow you to use a matching a specified pattern using wildcards, which I will talk about wildcards a little bit later in the session. Not like will let you to filter results to exclude those that match a specified pattern using wildcards. And starts with allows you to filter results to include only those that begin with a specified text, and ends with filters results to include only those that end in a specified text. So by using operators, this can help you adjust the filter query even further to narrow down the results you're trying to return. The next example is a numeric filter. Here you can see we have values that are numeric only. The operators are equals, which again allows you to filter results that only match the specified values, does not equal returns results that exclude anything that matches the exact value. Greater than will allow you to include only those that are greater than the specified numeric value, and less than returns results to include only those less than specified value. The between filter allows you to see any records that fall between the specified range of numeric values. For example, I will put in there that I want to see any duration that is greater than 10 seconds. For my next example would be a lookup filter. Data source is a great example as these are specific values in the system that you can select from a list. By selecting the pencil icon on the right-hand side, a list of selections appear and you can choose which entries you would like to query. The operators for these are equals and does not equals. And then my final example will be directory, which is also a lookup filter. Here, you will also have the option to select within your directory structure what data you would like to include. The operators for these are also equals and does not equals. One more thing. I would like to take a little time to discuss the phone number filter as reports on calls from a specific phone number are a popular request. Let's say I was asked to pull records from an example phone number like 917-655-9329. I would expect to get results when we run the report. However, sometimes we run into challenges based on how each phone system may differ in what data is provided to us. Some phone systems will send us just 10 digits, while others may prepend a 1 in front. Or in the case of the E161 format, will place a plus and a 1 at the front. This is where the like operator or the ends with operator really comes into play. The like operator allows you to use wildcards as I had stated earlier. The asterisk serves as a wildcard operator representing 0 or more characters, useful in searching queries to match any character sequence. The question mark functions as a wildcard operator that signifies exactly one character applicable in search queries to match any single character. So depending on your scenario, and keep in mind, this feature can be used on any text-based filter that allows you to use the operator of like, you can place an asterisk in the front, and that states we want to return any results that end in these exact 10 values. If you'd replace the asterisk at the end, we would be asking to return records that begin in these 10 values. Utilizing the question mark wildcard allows you to substitute out a character, stating any character can apply as a replacement in the matching values provided. Now that you have a basic understanding of filters and operators, take the time to play around with the available options to become more familiar with your options. Also, make sure to look at that help section article called Call Record Search to look at available fields, as will also help you to build filters. Lastly, we have the General tab. Here we have the ability to change the date time options, and we can also set what internal call options we'd like to see on our report. The date format allows you to change the format in which dates show up on your reports. So month, day, month, year, month, day. The time formats allow you to change it from a 12-hour to a 24-hour period, with 24-hour being the default. And then you can select whether you want to include seconds or not in the time format. Duration has an option for hours, minutes, and seconds, or if you'd rather just show seconds. The internal call ownership will allow you to determine which direction of internal calls you'd like to see, placed only, received only, or both. The blue icons in the top right-hand corner allow you to preview the report, run now, or save. Let's start with preview. While you're building your report, or even when you're finishing up your report, you can use the preview option to be shown a sample of what your report might look like. Let's go ahead and preview that report now. What you'll see is that it runs without asking for any time or date constraints. What this means is that it will pull up 10,000 random records to show you how the report would look. As you can see, it does not follow any of the constraint options we've selected prior. But from here, we can choose to either run now by using the blue button, or we can use the navigation buttons to return back to our template, which is what I'm going to do. Let's go ahead though and select run now from the blue buttons here, and you'll see that we're going to get date and time options. You can also see that we have three radial buttons for date range. The first one, relative date, relative month range, allows you to pick a starting date of the previous month to a date of the current month. This would allow you to design a scheduled report that would run applying the specific dates set by these settings every month. Relative allows you to configure a date range of the last number of hours, days, weeks, months, or even years. You can switch to current and do current day, week, month, or year. Specific allows you to hand select what date range you would like to see. You can either type in a date range or you can use the calendar icon to select it from the menu. Notice the checkboxes for days. You can utilize these to exclude specific days out of your reporting by unselecting them. That leaves us with time and the options of continuous or interval. Continuous allows us to select the time on the first date of the report up until the end of the last day of the report. Interval allows you to select the specific time frame of each day of the report. As an example, you could do like 9 to 5 or maybe 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. One last thing is the available date range. This will show you how far back we have in data retention. As of right now, this particular system goes back to April of 2024. Keep in mind that it's up to your system contract and implementation setup that may dictate this retention. Standard configuration is 400 days of retention. However, some implementations may opt in to retain more, while some may actually require less. If you're unsure, please contact your system administrator on these settings or contact customer support. Lastly, if your implementation is relatively new, we may not have reached your max retention. Let's go ahead and select a report that will run for the last 7 days, and let's select Run Now. You'll notice there's an option to include today's date in the search or not. Here, keep note that the application opened a new tab to show the data, and the application will take some time to load and present the data. You will see the name of the report at the top, as well as the dates that are included in the report. It will also show the fields that we've selected, as well as the results of our filter query. Notice that the report is grouping based on extension, and there is a caret expander on the left. Clicking on this will expand out the details of this group by, showcasing the details of the results. In the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see that the page will limit the data in 250, 500, or 1,000 records per page. On the right-hand side, you'll see how many pages of the data we've returned. From here, we have a few options. We can return back to our report on the other tab to make necessary changes to this report, or we can choose to export this report. Clicking Export at the top right-hand side will give us two options, Formatted and Details Only. A formatted report will include the group by headings with fields and summaries. This will also include the report title and date range. This is a very stylized report. This report will be exported into a standard Excel format. A details only report will be a single line per record CSV format. This will have zero formatting and does not include the report title or date range. You would primarily use this file to apply further calculations to it or to upload to another system. Keep in mind that either formatted or details will have a maximum of 150,000 records per report. So once you've made your selection, press OK. You will see a blue pop-up stating your report will be ready soon, and you'll be notified when the report is ready. Reports ran like this will show up completed in the report history section, which I will cover in the next chapter. You can close this tab at any time or just go back to the original tab to continue. Let's wrap up by saving this report. You can enter in a name and a description of this report. Adding to favorites just gives you an easy search parameter of the report, which I discussed prior. Tagging will also allow you to categorize the report for easier grouping and searching. I'm going to go ahead and save the report now. You'll find that once you have a basic understanding of the basic functions of building a report, you can build any report from our templates just as seamless and easy. Our next module to discover is report history. You can select it on the left-hand navigation bar. Here, you will see all the reports that you have run either through Report Application as Run Now reports or through the Scheduled Template applications as Scheduled Reports. As you can see in this list, we're seeing the report name, which is the Save As report name, report type, which can be either web report, CSV, or Excel, the date range of the data that's included in this report, the created date, which for a web report would be the date and time that the report was ran, and for scheduled reports would also be when the report was started. The status icon will tell you if the report is ready, and as an example, for reports that run for a large system or when using an extended amount of dates, you may come back to the report history to see a status of in progress. Once the report has completed, you will see the icon change from in progress to complete. In the action section, you can download an export report or rerun a previous web report. The info button will provide more details on the report. Information like status, who requested the report, request date and runtime, as well as format. In the case of an email report, who the recipient was, the date range of the report, and any filters that have been used. And lastly, you can delete the report history if no longer needed. On the top bar, you have the ability to search through your report history for a previous report. And lastly, you have the ability to delete multiple report histories or even clear out the entire history. Let's move on to scheduled templates. You can locate it on the left-hand navigation bar. Here, you can see any schedules of report templates that you've created in the system. Below, you'll see the name of the schedule, the templates that are selected for this schedule, the date filter, which indicates the time frame selected in the schedule, which tells you how often this report is run. Some examples would be daily, weekly, or monthly. Or it could just have been a single one-time only run with a single date and time. Destination, which would be the email addresses for the recipients. And next run would have values if this is a repetitive schedule and would list the next run date and time. The action section allows you to manually run the schedule now, regardless of the schedule. Edit will allow you to edit the parameters of your schedule, or delete will allow you to remove this schedule. Let's go ahead now and demonstrate how to create a schedule. Let's click on the blue Add New Schedule icon. Here we have a few tabs to fill out. Starting with the first tab labeled Templates, we need to give our schedule a name. Let's name this Southeast Region Monthly. The description is not required, but suggested to help you understand what this report schedule is used for. In this case, let's state this report schedule is for the Southeast Region stores to be run on a monthly basis. Clicking on the blue Add Templates icon will allow you to select any reports you have saved in the system. You can also add any shared templates that may have been shared with you. Once added, you'll see the list of reports, and then the ability to change the file name of the file that would be delivered. The default would be the name of the report, but it can be changed at this time. Lastly, you can also append the file name to include a current date and time format, which would include the date and time that the report was run at. Or you can do report date range, which would include the range of dates that the report is including. Moving on to the Date Range tab. Here you can see, similar to the Run Now features of reporting, you can determine what time and date range you want to include in your reports. Starting on the right with relative month range allows you to pick a start date of the previous month to a date of the current month. This would allow you to design a scheduled report that would run applying to the specific dates set by these settings every month. Relative allows you to configure a date range of the last number of hours, days, weeks, months, or years. You can also switch to current and then do day, week, month, or year. Specific allows you to hand select what date range you would like to see. You can either type in a date range or you can use the calendar icon to select it from the menu. Notice the checkboxes for days. You can utilize these to exclude specific days out of your reporting by unselecting them. That leaves us with time and the options of continuous or interval. Continuous allows us to select the start time on the first date of the report up until the end of the last day of the report. Interval allows you to select a specific time frame of each day of the report. An example would be like a 9 to 5 report, or maybe a 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. report. Once we've selected a date range, like for example, let's do a 1 month report, we can move on to the next tab of scheduled. Here we have two unique options, regularly scheduled and specific date and time. If you choose regularly scheduled, you have the repeat options of monthly, weekly, daily, or hourly. Starting with monthly, you can choose the following: the specific date of the month you want the report to run each month. Relative day of the month, you can choose a query based on week and day. And lastly, you can just choose the last day of the month. Weekly allows you to choose which day of the week you want to repeat the schedule. Daily allows you to pick which days of the week you want them to run. You could choose every day, or you could exclude specific days from running. Hourly allows you to choose an interval. This could be every 1 hour, 2 hours, every 5 hours. Below these options is the start date selection. This allows you to choose the date and time that this schedule would begin on. You also have the option to select an end date for this schedule. You can select to never end, or you can enter an end date time. Lastly, for your schedule, select what time zone this schedule is running on. Let's now select the specific date and time option. From here, you can choose the start date, time, and time zone you want this one-time run to occur for these reports. Now, let's move on to the Output tab. Here, we have the option of how the report is delivered. The options are email link and email attachment. Email link will send the recipients a URL to download it from the web. Email attachments will just include the file in the email to the recipients listed. When entering emails, ensure that you press enter after every email to lock them in. Subject is required, but message is not. And lastly, you can select which style of report you would like, formatted or details only. Keep in mind that a formatted report will include group by headings with fields and summaries. This will also include the report title and date range. This report would be exported into an Excel format. A details only report will be a single line per record CSV. This will have no formatting and does not include the report title or date range. You would use this file to apply further calculations or upload to another system. Let's go ahead and schedule. You can now see that I have a new schedule with the report templates that we've selected. Let's move on to another feature, which is sharing report templates. We're going to navigate back to Report Templates tab in the navigation bar and select a report that we want to share with another user of your system. Clicking on the three dots next to the report you want to share brings up the menu, and from here we'll select Share Templates. You will see that there is a drop-down to select the users available to share, selecting which application user you wish to share with by clicking the checkbox next to their names. On the right, we have the drop-down to select the roles. The two roles are Editor and Viewer. Editor will allow the users to make changes to your report, like changing fields and filters, as well as allowing them to save those changes. Viewer will only allow the user to run the reports without any modifications. Once you've made your selection, you can click Share, and the window will close and a notification of changes will show in the bottom left-hand corner. If you go back into the Share feature, you will see all the users you've shared this report to. From here, you can change their role or delete their access, or you can add more users shared to this report. Lastly, you can change the ownership of a report to another user. To transfer ownership of this report to that user, select the drop-down in the role and select Transfer Ownership. Keep in mind that once you've changed ownership, the report will be owned and maintained by the new owner, and the original user will no longer have access to this report. You can also see any reports that's been shared with you by selecting the Template Shared with Me tab at the top. Here, you will see any report that has been shared to you, what user is sharing that report with you, and depending on your role access, you can select the pencil icon to view the report fields and filters, or with editor access, make changes to them. You can also click the More, and if you have been granted the report access role of editor to this report, you can change your role or other roles of others, or even remove access. If you are only a viewer, this feature would not be displayed in the menu. You also have the ability to make copies of this shared template. The copy templates would be stored in your saved template list and are not a shared report. This would be a way to create a new template and allow you to make your own changes based on the template design. Lastly, you have another way to remove your access to this report by selecting the Remove option. I wanted to take a moment to discuss a feature that is not a module, but some available features that are only available to the report admin role configured in Login User Setup, assigned by the administrator of the system. And it's the ability to see, run, and make changes to other users' report templates, their schedules, even their report history. Let's go ahead and demonstrate. If you navigate to the report templates, you will see that I have a drop-down in the upper right-hand corner to change my view. You'll see that you have the option to view your templates, all templates, or the individual templates of the users within your system. From here, you'll have full access to run a report, edit the report, as well as copy, rename, or delete the report. If we navigate to the Scheduled Templates module, you'll see that the same dropdown appears: My Schedules, All Schedules, or Individual Users. From here, you'll have the same capabilities to run a schedule now, edit their schedules, or delete a schedule for any of the users within your system. Lastly, you can navigate to the Report History module. The same dropdown appears in the upper right-hand portion of your screen, where you can see My, All, or all users or individual users run reports and either view the web report, download the report, view the details, or delete the history. Just as a reminder that only a user with the report admin role configured in their login rights will be able to see any of these admin features. A standard report user will not have the dropdown present in any of the modules and will not be able to perform any of these functions. If you think that you should have these rights, reach out to your administrator of the system and have them add that access role to your login user. The last section of this training is the user module. I will show you how to create and update your users to the system. You can locate the module in the navigation bar on the left. Here, you can see a list of your current users. It lists their emails, what type of user they are, if their account is active, and when they last logged in. You have the pencil icon to edit the users, and you have the three dots for more options. Let's go ahead and set up a new user. Click the blue New User icon in the upper right-hand corner. Here you will fill in the user's first name, their last name, their email address, and finally, what type of user they will be. The selections are admin, which will have access to everything and will also be able to manage and maintain the other login users, or users. And the users will not be able to maintain logins, but can access the product and will be given specific rights to the different parts of the application. If we select a user, you'll see that standard permissions, contact center permissions, and queue permissions populate on the right. Standard permissions mostly covers the classic report application. Contact center permissions will only appear if you have the UCCX contact center module purchased as a part of your implementation, and queue permissions, which will also only appear if you have Microsoft Teams or WebExQ Analytics as a part of your implementation. Let's take a look at standard permissions. You'll see here that there are 5 different options. To better help you understand what features you're granting access to, I recommend checking out the help documentation located in our knowledge base. Let's first explain standard data. Standard data refers to traditional call records, or CDRs, captured from the organization's call server, providing call activity details such as date, time, duration, and phone numbers, along with call accounting functionality. With that being broken down, we can dive into the roles. Roles defines what actions the users can take in the product. If you've granted them no access, the user does not have access to the standard data. If you've granted full access, the user can administer and report on all standard data and modules. Elevated. User can create their own dashboards, reports, and traffic analysis reports, and can use call expiration to access assigned standard data. Elevated users can also set default dashboard widgets and administer all reports in their tenant. Elevated access also allows you to specify which data they would like to have or you want to grant access to. Standard. User can create their own dashboards and reports and can use call expiration to access assigned standard data. The user has no admin permissions. They also have, with standard access, also allows you to specify which data you want them to have access to. And then lastly, custom. Custom adds the custom role tab. Custom permissions can be assigned to the user. Let's go ahead and select custom role. You'll see that a new tab shows up in the top left bar. Here you can see you have all the custom options to select from: dashboard, reporting, and administration. Dashboard will grant the user either user access or admin access. Admin access will grant the user the ability to share out widgets and set default dashboards for their users. Reporting will give the options of no access, user, and admin. Admin access will allow the user to access and maintain all reports by the system. Call expiration will give the option of no access, user, and admin. Admin access will give the ability to run against all the call fields. Here, you can also see that there's a checkbox if you want this user to have the ability to run traffic analysis reports. Under administration options, you have alarms with no access, the ability to view alarms, or the ability to create and maintain alarms. Connector, either no access, the ability to view connectors, or the ability to create and maintain connector access. Directory, no access. User access will give the ability to maintain the directory manually by adding and removing org access, people, as well as charges. Directory admin will give the user the ability to edit and maintain directory imports. The last few checkboxes are to grant into the following administrative modules: extension locations, hunt group databases, managing pricing, phone number IDs, phone number translations, as well as trunking gateway inventory. Lastly, if we go back to user configuration, you can see we can specify if we give them access to all data or specific data. If we toggle to specific data, a new tab will appear called Data Access. If we go to that tab, you can determine what access to grant: organization, data source access, or report menu access. If we toggle organizational access, you can specify which part of the directory you want to give access to. Perhaps this user needs to only have specific departmental access to data. This is where you would set it. If you toggle data source access, you can specify which data sources you wish to grant this user. And finally, if you toggle report menu access, you can specify which specific report menus to grant if any have been configured. Once you've made your configuration selections, you can click Save. The user will receive an email inviting them to sign in and set up their password. If utilizing SSO, it will go through your typical SSO procedures. Next up is the contact center permissions. Here you can see you have 4 options. No access. The user does not have access to contact center data. Manager access. They have access to the contact center dashboard, has access to settings so they can set up thresholds for the widgets, create messages to appear on the dashboard, and can set the colors for the threshold statuses. User has access to the contact center dashboard, cannot access any of the settings. And then reports gives the user access to reports based on contact center. Next, we can define which queues the user has access to. All queues, user has access to all available queues. Specific queues assigns access to specific queues. You can use the checkboxes to assign access to a queue. By selecting the checkbox Show Only Selected, we'll filter this list to show only the queues the user has access to. This is helpful if your list of queues is very long. Lastly, we have queue permissions. These settings provide visibility into queue call activity for both Microsoft Teams and WebEx call queues. If you grant full access, this gives the user the following abilities: queue dashboard, queue reporting, editing the queue settings, managing the queue licenses, and deleting queues. Manager access gives the ability for the following: queue dashboards and reports, as well as editing the queue settings. And then agent level access gives the following abilities: queue dashboards only. If you select either Queue Manager or Queue Agent, you will have the options to select the queues this user should have access to only from the list of available queues. Now that you've made all of your selections, you can press Save in the upper right-hand corner. The recipient will receive an email invitation to accept their invitation to ISI Analytics. When they clicked to accept their invitation, it will redirect them to set up their password. If you utilize SSO, it will just direct them to your organization's SSO login procedures. Returning back to the main menu of users, you can also use the More Options selection to reset password, disable user, and delete user. Selecting the reset password will prompt an email that will be sent to the user to reset their password. If you're an SSO user, this option will not be present. Disabling a user will allow you to stop the user from being able to log on. You can re-enable a user after you disable them at any time. Their scheduled reports will also continue to function while their account is disabled. And lastly, we have delete user. If you delete a user, it will prompt you and give you a list of any reports and report schedules in either the standard or classic product. Typing delete in all caps below will delete the user and any reports as well as their schedules. Thanks for joining this training session on ISI Analytics. Let's take a moment to recap what we've covered. Dashboards. You've learned how to configure and navigate dashboard settings to gain visibility into your system's performance. Dashboards help you track the key metrics, uncover trends, and support data-informed decision-making across your teams. Connectors. We explored how to configure service level metrics and set thresholds that power your Q dashboard widgets. By defining these parameters, you ensure your dashboards reflect meaningful performance indicators, helping you monitor queue health, flag issues early, and stay aligned with your operational goals. Queue dashboards. You saw how to evaluate queue performance, identify patterns over time, and uncover opportunities for improvement. These dashboards support better planning, resource allocation, and service delivery. And then reports. We walked through how to build, run, and schedule reports to deliver the insights you need when you need them. Whether you're sharing updates with stakeholders or analyzing performance, reports help you stay informed and proactive. Need help? Don't forget, the resource button is your go-to for support articles, how-to guides, and troubleshooting tips. And if you ever need more help, our support team is just a click away. We're here to support your success. We appreciate your time. Thank you for watching this demo. If you have any questions or feedback, please don't hesitate to reach out.